about what that could look like. In regards, as you know, K-5 is the priority area that we need to start looking at as our beginning to phase back in. So planning is happening for that, and we'll have much more information at the September when we present the plan. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Ms. Smith.
I want to thank both of you for answering all of Ms. Weems' questions. It's helpful for those questions to be answered. I have a problem with crickets because I do have a lizard, but I don't want to hear crickets, not only here, but here. Ms. Weems touched on something that is near and dear to my heart. There are a lot of parents that are not able to afford internet right now. My fear is we're going to lose some children. We are going to lose them. I mean, we heard in public comment a kindergartner slamming down the laptop saying, I don't want to do this. I understand that you got plans for a gym class. If it were me, I don't know how many students would really want to engage in kids are going to say how they're tracking this. But my biggest thing in fear is we're going to lose children, not to other districts, but to dropping out in our middle school and high school level. I don't want to hear, and I have not heard it from the two of you, because you all have been very productive with coming back with responses to help this board. I'm not only a community member, but I am a board member, and I need answers. And I'm going to want answers. And it's not anything against either of you personally, but this is my community. And this pandemic has hit us roughly. The equity issue. We have to worry about the students that are not IB, AP classes, that we're going to fall in the cracks. But we have a group of parents that are out here that are willing to help. Farmington FAPN reached out and said, what are we doing for students that don't have internet access? They're willing to help and get, that's a very well-connected community. You need to reach out to your FAPN and your PTA council. PTA council is sitting on a ton of money. Your education foundation, your CARES group, they're trying to raise money. We need students to have internet access. Those students need to, I've got families that don't want to call. I reached out and I said, what do we do? Don't push me off to a building principal and I say, let them talk to your building principal. Parents are struggling. Some of them, it's their pride. These people had good jobs. They don't want to reach out and talk to a building principal. They want to talk to their public servant that they voted for and ask, how can I go around without people knowing my personal business? That's same with this survey for getting free lunch. If you can't get internet, you can't get fed. If you can't get internet, you can't do the exercise and whatever else is available. Look, I'm working on 2 computers tonight and a cell phone because as you see, a lot of us have been kicked on, kicked off, whatever. My thing is I don't want to lose a child due to the fact that we're doing things at top-notch level. Just because this is Farmington and Farmington Hills does not mean everyone is financially healthy. Not only are we not financially healthy, this pandemic is hitting a lot of people. And I am sick and tired of being told, well, talk to the building person, well, talk to this person. What I appreciate with the two of you is that these questions are being answered now. We shouldn't have to be sitting here listening to Terri Weems with a bunch of questions that she's asked in an email that is not being answered. That's ridiculous. And it wasn't to you, and it wasn't to Ms. Henderson. It's been, well, and I'm tired of the buck being passed. So I appreciate the fact that the questions are being answered tonight. I like the due diligence. I don't know, maybe we are getting smoke blown up our behinds. I don't know, but at least we're getting something. I appreciate the fact that you are talking to us and you are telling us things, but at the end of the day, if you don't know, tell us. I appreciate it if you just say, you know what, Miss Smith or Angie, whatever, we don't know the answers. But I'm really happy that the two of you, every question she has asked tonight has been answered. I want to see more of that, not just at a board meeting, but in these emails. It is embarrassing that as a board member that I am not getting answers, and I'm being treated just like I'm a regular community member, and the community doesn't know. You got to remember, as an elected official, we live in these communities. We go to the markets. We go to the Ace Hardwares, and people ask us questions. We look pretty dumb with not knowing how to answer them. So again, thank you. I will be reaching out more to the two of you because it looks like that's the only way we can get answers and the buck not being passed. And I'm a little sick and tired of being sick and tired. And this is ridiculous that we have sat here all this time with a boatload of questions and we're finally getting answers. We should not be spending board time getting all of this when it should have been answered when she sent these emails. So thank you again.
Are there any other questions or comments from anyone?
I have a comment.
And who is that? I'm sorry.
It's
Oh,
me.
Dr. Herrera, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I just can't see sometimes, so thank you. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I feel like I need to just mention, the position of our building administrators in terms of a response to best serve our parents. It's going to be hard pressed for me to take any other approach or perspective than to believe that our teachers, our building administrators, our social workers, and our counselors aren't in the best position to meet the needs of our students and our parents in the most immediate fashion. I think there's many points of entry at the building level where parents and students can seek out support. I also believe that our teachers are the best person in contact to make sure that students are engaged, they're getting online, and they know whether they have access or not. Our teachers see our students there. They know who's freezing all the time. They know who's has access to get on. They know who's not been in attendance for a couple days. I think we're devaluing the professionalism that we have in our classrooms, in our building administrators' commitment to address the needs of their students by stating that all decisions need to be made at central office, and all communications need to go out from central office. The buildings have the best relationship with our students and our families, and they're in the best position to meet their needs. So I'm here just to simply bring that perspective to the board and the school community and honor the professionalism that goes on with our building principals, counselors, social workers, and teachers, because they do a fantastic job, and I believe they're there to serve our kids.
I never once said that these teachers...
Hold on, Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith, hold on. Hang on. Is there any other questions or comments from anyone before Ms. Smith responds? Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Not once have you heard come out of my mouth tonight or any other night that this staff, teachers, administrator, or anyone else and has never been professional and could not handle this. These teachers are learning this program at the same rate as these children are learning. These teachers are parents themselves. You'll hear right now, Ms. Hendrickson has her dog barking. I have to lock mine in a room. We've got families here. Teachers got students at home that are at home trying to teach not only their children. So don't you dare try to put in my mouth tonight that I'm saying that these teachers and this staff this is the best staff that I have ever worked with. Farmington is the finest. I have never, and I take offense to that comment. This staff has done their due diligence by trying to learn this Canvas and everything else at the last minute when we've had 6 months to get this stuff together. And to say that they can go and ask the teachers or the principal what to do? Really? Are you serious? They are asking the people that they elected for help. And they have a right to ask us. Not only and I'm not saying that there's a principal here that won't do the job. You've got principals that are bending over backwards. I know that for a fact because I got a couple of families I'm helping feed myself. There are parents in this community that are struggling. They need our help. This is why FAPN has reached out and asked. I'm not saying that this staff is not helping. I am not saying that I'm not saying it has to come from central office. But we all got an email saying get Buddy's Pizza for 50% off. But where's the email to say that we can help these kids eat or get free internet? We did a commercial on Channel 2, Channel 4, whatever. We got kids doing commercials with no mask on. What are we doing? What are we in the business of? Trying to make this community look good, or are we trying to help the kids? So don't you dare sit there and try to say that that's what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying.
Mr. Mukamal.
I believe that what Dr. Herrera was talking about was how best to satisfy the needs of these families that are struggling. These are issues, by the way, that were brought up to the Academic Excellence Committee. I myself have brought them up. For everybody's knowledge, the Academic Excellence Committee has about 15 members. 3 of them are from the board, but just about every department in the district is represented on that committee. So we are aware of the issues that these people face. As far as the PTA and FAPN and some of these other parental groups that want to offer help, I don't know who they've talked to. They're more than welcome to offer their assistance to Dr. Coffin and to Ms. Hendrickson and to provide whatever help under this current environment is possible. But I have had several discussions with Dr. Herrera about the district and about communication and about the culture that we have been in for many, many years. And I know that he is completely committed to helping all of our students, irrespective of their needs. So I think that is an important thing to keep in mind when we're making comments like that. Thank you.
Mr. Rich.
Thank you. And I mean, from how I'm understanding it is what families need to do, and what's been expressed is that families need to contact the building administrator, who is able to then get them the resources. I mean, that is part of their job as the administrator, is to help those families directly, that's what they are doing, and that's great. And as you've said, we have fantastic people working here in our district as building administrators. But unfortunately, unless it's being noted by our teachers, and I know a lot of it is, but if someone needs internet, they need to contact our building administrators and say, I need this. And then it's our building administrator's job to get them those resources, get them those services. And so, I mean, is that what Dr. Herrera, is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I think when, typically when, parents, there's an issue with a parent or a family, somebody in the building is the best person to serve those families. They know the families the best. The teachers have typically served the families for several years, no siblings. You've got, counselors that have been embedded in the work, social workers that have been embedded in the work and know the families. So it's just a much tighter school community at the building level. So if we want a point of entry for our parents when there's a need, I encourage our parents to look towards the building, either with the teacher, call the secretary, call the building principal, because that's the point of entry where we can best and most immediately meet their needs. To call central office or to contact the board, there's typically a very long delay. We talked a lot about this when we talked about channels of communication. The point of the channels of communication were to put people in contact with the person that could help resolve the issue the quickest and most efficiently and effectively where the incident happened or the concern arose. So again, we all seem to be in agreement with that when we put the channels of communication in place. This is just using the same protocols, the same concept. So yes, I believe that my job is to make sure that we have people ready and accessible to serve our students and meet their needs. And like I said before, I think the degree that our staff have gone to move this initiative forward, to provide the work they've done to implement this learning management system in a very short period of time versus the Google Classroom, like you heard earlier, is a good indication of the quality of staff and the will and the commitment to our families that they serve. I wouldn't expect no difference in terms of providing internet access. I'd expect no difference in them in terms of making sure that students were receiving food or any additional services that they may need. So I have high confidence that our buildings are committed and prepared and very willing to support our families at the extent and probably more effective than anybody else can in the district. I guess that was my point.
Thank you, Dr. Herrera. Any other questions or comments? I'd like to say something unless someone else has another comment about this. Okay, not hearing none. Couple of things here. If a student or family has an issue, Dr. Herrera has put in place, as he mentioned, a chain of command. When whether we're staff, whether we're students, whether we're board members, go outside that chain of command, everything falls apart. For example, if I were to give my friends, that I run into at the store, the extra privilege of calling someone or doing something special for them that I couldn't do for someone else because they're a friend, that quite honestly is bordering on corruption, political corruption, because your people will be using their positions to get something for someone else. And if we go back and we look at what this district was like before Dr. Herrera got here, where we had some schools that were getting some things and some families and other schools that weren't, there has to be a chain of command. There has to be a central starting point. I, as a board member, if someone were to ask me the exact identical question, I would tell them the exact same thing that the entire district is saying, which is we need to go to the building administrator. The moment we go around that, it's going to usurp and make the entire system collapse. It may not be the answer people want, but the question becomes, if they are sent to that building administrator, and at that point they're not getting what they are asking for, then yes, there would be a problem and it needs to be elevated up to the appropriate staff at central office. But we can't take our positions as elected officials and do favors and other things for other people just because they voted for us or they agree with our positions. The only other thing...
I'm sorry.
May I finish?
Yes, please.
Thank you. And Ms. Smith, I'm not saying that's exactly what you're doing, but I'm just saying what could happen if we go outside of
Pretty much aware. I understand what you're saying, but if I was going to do favors, I'd pay those people's bills and make sure they had internet. So there is no corruption.
May I finish? Thank you. So I just want to make sure that the community knows, if they don't know, one of the 7 of us, because a lot of them don't, they may just see us, that there is a proper protocol in place and they're going to get the exact same treatment whether you live 14 Mile, whether you live down in Farmington, whether you're wherever you live, everyone is entitled to the exact same treatment. The only other thing I want to say as it relates to questions and things, and yes, I want to thank the staff, Margaret and Kelly, for answering those questions, but I think we also have to understand, it's when do the questions come to them? If we send them 15 or 20 questions Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock, these folks have jobs and they have to not only prepare that, they have other expectations and things that they're supposed to do other than answering board questions. So I would just hope board members, once we start sending questions to whether it's a committee or whomever, that we give them at least ample time to respond. So I'll go back to you, Ms. Smith. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. First, and let me start off with the questions. Ms. Weems has submitted questions, and they have been in an inbox for maybe, and this is not to you, Mr. Johnson, but Ms. Weems has sent questions that have still not been answered. So as I'm just saying, Ms. Weems has spoken up, so this is the only way she can get her answers is here tonight. As far as doing any favors, I don't have any children in the district anymore, and I don't do favors. And I'm not saying that that's what you were implying, that, and I get where you were going with this, but at the end of the day, if I was going to do a favor, I'd ask anybody that needed that AT&T bill or Spectrum, whatever it is, I'd pay that bill. But that's not what they were asking.
You can pay my bill if you like, Ms. Smith.
So, but at the end of the day, when it all boils down to it, and I don't need anybody speaking and because I have been accused of not being articulate, but I think my point came off good and clear where I was going with this. At the end of the day, and I didn't need anybody to clear it up for what I was trying to say to Dr. Herrera. I don't need anybody to clear up what Dr. Herrera was trying to say. At the end of the day, what I am saying is there are people in this community that approach you if you're at the market. Just because they approach you doesn't mean, and you stated it yourself, some board members are very well known, some are not. I have not once said, you know what, I got you, I'm gonna do this favor for you. What I have said is I don't know where to get this information from. That does not sit well when you're an elected official and you don't know, because no one has told you where can they get free internet. You're talking about going through a school. As I stated, there are people that are in this community that are embarrassed that they have lost their jobs and cannot pay their bills. They don't want to go, and then there are some grandparents, non-custodial parents. And as a matter of fact, I did send this information out and board members responded back. So with that being said, there are people that cannot or know how to get access to whatever, or even know how to get onto some of these programs that we have, and they're just asking simple questions. That's it. That is all I'm trying to say. But as far as corruption, there is no corruption. People just want to know. No one is asking for any favors. They just want to know, is there any way? And as a matter of fact, FAPN did reach out. And I even CC'd them in an email pertaining to this topic right here. People want to know what they can do to help. That's not asking for any favor. What can we do as a board? Yes, and Mr. Johnson, I agree. Chain of command is good. But when your chain of command likes to pass the buck, then what do we do?
Well, assuming it has been passed, but, you know, I think we've made this, this part, everybody's made their point. I'd like to move on to action items at this point, unless someone else has another comment.
No, I was going to suggest that you do that you not rebut and move the meeting along. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weems. Mr. Mukamal, is there a motion you'd like to make?
Yes. I believe we're discussing the motion for approval of our new assistant superintendent. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
I move that the Board of Education approve the appointment of Dr. Bobby Hayes Goodrum as the assistant superintendent for diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Support.
There's been a motion by Mr. Mukamal to appoint Dr. Bobby Goodrum as assistant superintendent for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it was a race. It sounded like Ms. Cummings seconded the motion. Is there